Hey, top of the morning to you, folks. 8:58, I think, according to my clock. Michael here. Grandkids call me Roo. Thanks for being on Roodoodles Live. It's Monday morning. It's in October. I honestly think it's the 10th. The 10th of October may be the day. I think I saw the 9th go by. Anyway, unbelievable. We are into fall, whether you like it or know it or not. I love it. The weather here in Charlotte has just been spectacular. Could use actually a little rain after all that storm came through. We didn't get what they thought, which is good. Charlotte is, for those of you who live out in Oregon, everything looks the same. You got some taller peaks, I think, but the trees are just so much bigger out there. But it's green and there's hardwoods and so we have these massive trees here. So when the ground gets saturated and the wind's blowing, everybody's concerned about trees coming down on their houses, on the power lines, everything else. And everybody's just concerned about everything. Have you noticed? That's what makes television work. Hey, there's a drama coming. Anyway, so I pray you're well today. I really do. I hope you're excited about doing some art today. I've reached one of those points, and I don't know if it was just the fall. Sometimes the seasons affect you a little differently. Spring, you sort of want to go out in the garage and clean things out. In the fall, you want to just find a bowl of soup and sit down and watch the blue skies and the clouds drip by. And so I've kind of felt that way the last few days. I've been finishing up a major project for Coca-Cola. It landed last evening. It looks like it's landed. I'm holding on. We'll see. It's been a fun project, but man, it's been a hard project. And so that's a lot of threes. Hold it. Put me down. This what's what my inebriated friends used to say that I grew up with. Unfortunately, they were inebriated. They get paid on Friday, and they worked in the quarry. And they go, hold it. I go, wait, I'm going home. So I hope you're doing well today. I'm rattling a little bit. Let me say hello to some people here. And got a little bit of frost coming down off the mountain later next week, I think. We're going to see a turn in cold front. But we've got days 50s in the morning, 75s in the day. Come on, can it get any better than that? Let's paint a little bit. Look at this. I laid this out today. Someone Saturday said, oh my gosh, I just bought one of those pens and I can't seem to get enough ink in it to do anything with. These are the pens that I saw cartoon people sketch with back in the days of yore. And if you know the book, the Horse, the Boy, the Mole, the Fox, I probably messed that up, but Charlie Mackessy's book is just brilliant. He sketches with a dip pen like this. It's all taped up and you keep putting it back in the ink, and you even love the undulations of where, look, this is not an exact science. This is not it is a calligraphy pen, but you have to be careful. This is how we started with a quill. And one of my granddaughters is dressed up today like Ben Franklin. It's a Founding Fathers Day at their school. She's hilarious. And my daughter sent me a picture of her last night. It just cracked us up. I went, that's Ben Franklin. And without a hairbrush. It's like Roo. And but all those guys wrote with just great pen. He was one of the 4 founding fathers that signed all the documents. How did I get into that? It's this pen right here. And this is not what his look like, but it's what mine looks like. So I'm going to paint with it this morning. Let me say hello, Lori Stanley Handelmeyer Henderson. Good morning to you. Chris Whitaker, good morning to you. Watching with Asher, my grandson. Asher, good morning to you, buddy. I hope you're thinking like an artist. I hope you love to create things with art and paint in your hands. And those hands right now that you've got, just take a look at them. Those are tools, buddy. those are going to do awesome things someday, Asher. They are. They can. You use them for good. Glad you're on the show. Denise Albright, I saw your post. I saw someone posted for you, Raylene, I think, and you were out on an event, and I hope that was fun. I hope you realize how folks want to engage with the artist who's just sitting there doing what it is that they do. Why do I paint so much at restaurants and places that I go like that? Because that's part of that mystique. Okay, let's just call it what it is. Let's just call it what it is right here. It's fishing. And I'm not fishing for leads. I'm not fishing for compliments. I'm not fishing for my ego, for heaven's sakes. I had that in the 30s. I'm way past that now. What I'm fishing for is a connection of human beings who just say, oh, I wish I could do that. And you say, you know what? You can. People say, have you been painting all your life? I bet you were an artist as a child. I go like, I'm not an artist now. I just think like one. And they go, excuse me? I threw it out just at the get-go. Yesterday, after church, Carol and I took a right turn out of the parking lot, which takes us closer to town, to South Park area. There's a big mall over there, but one of our favorite restaurants sits off to the side of that mall in a little area, and it's called Brick Tops. I don't know why it's called Brick Tops. There's no brick in it, and there's no tops that I've seen. I don't know, and it's got the weirdest art in it you've ever seen. It's monkeys. Yeah, I don't know. And I didn't even like the Wizard of Oz, so the flying monkeys didn't do much for me. But this food, we have never been disappointed in the 20 years that we've been here. And we go every so often. So let's just go there for brunch. And I'm going like, we can buy a dozen eggs for about $4, $3. And a good waffle chicken egg breakfast there, an omelet there is going to run about $20. But let's just do it. And I'll paint on the tablecloths. Why do I like to paint on the tablecloths there? Because they put those white tablecloths like this. I even brought one home with me here. Let me get to this right here. There. This is one, see? I said, I could probably paint better at home if they all know that I paint there. And I go like, why don't you just give me one of those tablecloths to take home with me? And so they ripped off a piece of paper and gave it to me. I've wrinkled it up a little bit, but I'll paint something on it. They don't paint that well, but there's something about just painting on the tablecloth that is so fun and relaxing. And that's how I got into that story. And Denise, I hope that was fun to just paint in front of people there. It puts a rhythm in you that you didn't know you had. It escalates your adrenaline so that you don't go, oh, let me make careful here. You just kind of go, hey, look at that and see how it turns out. There's something that's refreshing about that. And there's a connection there with people. I hope that's how you sensed it anyway. Deborah Lynn Tauber, Biloxi. It's very cool Monday in Biloxi. Jennifer Hintz, Debbie Bennett, Melena Phillips, Jean Anthalzer, Elaine Barrett, Deborah Spangler. Look at all you folks on here. June Jones from sunny Florida. Karen, always great to have you on the show. Pat Lightbody, Burke Crone, Burke from Greenville. Hey, Skeeter Powell. Hey, Kim Sheets. Let's see, did I just see the Catlets come by? Yeah, top of the morning from you. And, she's in Lancaster, South Carolina today. Well, that's that's 40 minutes down the road, or maybe so. Let's see, John Robert Small's in the house. That's awesome. Barbara Nichols. Mike Paramore. The bees are probably slowing down. The bees, when it gets below 58 degrees, the bees kind of go, okay, I got to go get my woolly coat on. And bees do get a little woolier. I think that's not called hair. That's called pile, P-I-L-E. So the bees probably increase the pile, or they pile on. Maybe that's how they keep warm. Trish Brown, Jean Anthalzer, Sharon Martinez, Gretchen Hay. Good to have you here. Oh no, you are here. Good morning. On my way to groomer. Okay, Nancy. I assume that's for your dog, because I would. Yeah, okay. I'm just saying. Just the way you wrote that, there's a noun missing in your sentence. Kelly Berger, morning from you, or to you. Yeah, Lee Packus. Oh my gosh. Hey, brother, name's on the wall. Hope you're doing well. Pray for you all the time. Not all the time. That would be a hyperbole. But I hope you're doing good. Pick up the pen. Annette Henslin's on from way up in what I call Bird Island. That's what she used to call it. Skeeter Powell, Randall Craven, Chris Whitaker, J.A. Berg, Janine Mallett's on the show this morning. All right, here's Teresa Marie Clegg Salveggio. I love it, love it, love it. Beverly Schmidt, there's another Greenville person. Cindy Wiltermuth, great artist, Lana Couch. Jennifer Parker, Chip Furr. We created the coffee company for connecting with others. You certainly did. It's fun to go to Chip and Cherry's coffee place where they brew that. And it's also, and brewing in the fall is like next Saturday morning, I'm actually blacksmithing. And I'm hoping for a day that's like this morning where it's brisk and cool. Because when it's 90 degrees, the last thing you want to do is turn on a 2,000 degree forge. So that's kind of it about roasting coffee. Let's see. Denise says it was fun. People are not used to artists painting at their showings. Lots of questions, comments. Even when Jenna asked me the story behind the dog I was painting. See there? And that's where you need to know, he's just a dog I made up, or he's a dog that I used to have, or he's a dog that has one eye that's blue and one eye that's brown, and here's the reason. And so you get to tell those stories, you get to share that, and that's the connection. Those of you who haven't experienced that yet, as your art grows and you grow and you think like an artist, you don't have to set up, you don't even have to be invited to a gallery function. Those are fun. Just go somewhere and sit at a coffee shop and sit and just paint for an hour and watch people walk by, and they'll go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm being nosy." And you go, "You're not being nosy. I'm on plain view of the town here. I'm like the guy who ran his riverboat aground, next to the little restaurant on the Mississippi." He goes like, "I bet you didn't want to do that." And he goes, "No, it's all right. Everybody can see the boat better." So that's kind of what you do. So run it aground somewhere. Annette Wall, good morning to you from Pennsylvania. Mary Hamilton, look at all you people on today. Woohoo! All right. Is it Jafar Abdul Karim? Thanks for being on the show. And my friend, I don't even know what city, what country you're in. Maybe you're just down the road from me. All right, but here we go. I want to show you this. Sometimes I talk to the folks on Patreon who come on and do my classes. Last Tuesday morning was a 90-minute drive down, a lot of words, but it was about showing up to do what you need to do. And it was about simplifying your palette and everything. So when I go out and paint, I simplify my palette. I take my bug out bag. I take a little tin of paints. Boom. Tissy sent me this little Bob Ross tin that I put. She actually sent me some little half pans with it. It just holds 4 colors. I'm going to carry it for about a week and see what happens. I'm just going to put 4 colors in there, and you can guess what they're going to be, right? I'm going to do my 3 primaries, and then I think I'm going to do, I might do that gray. I might do that French gray just to alternate those colors and lighten them up a little bit. We'll see, because I can get black from my red and my blue. I can get a dark there. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to fill it. So I'm anticipating. But I take a little bit of limited colors. So last night yesterday afternoon at brunch, I'm sitting there at the table. And here's where I'm headed with this story. Hey, Tina Hill, good to have you on the show. Gingerland Pate, thanks for being here. Here's what's happening. I'm sitting there. If you got a question today, pop it up in a little bit. I'll write myself a note here. Here's a note right here. Q. If you mark it with a Q or 2 Qs or 1 Q or some Q, I'll remember in a minute to go there and look it up, and I'll see it pop up in case I don't see it. Sometimes I don't see all the posts just because they go by so fast. You guys are just typing about, if it's raining, if it's not raining, how's your mom and them and all that stuff. And so I can't keep up with all of it. In fact, I don't try to. What I try to keep up with is making sure that my teacup has some tea in it. I'm drinking Thai food. And let's paint something. I'm going to put on some music. And let me show you what I painted yesterday. And I even brought one to give you an idea of how fast it happened. I painted a rooster on the tablecloth, on the paper tablecloth, they have a white linen laying underneath. And then they put this piece of white paper down. They clamp it on the edges so it's really smooth. It feels like this, actually, except it's a little thicker paper. Here it is right here. I'm going to show you what a piece feels like. Here it is right here. And here's what I painted on it yesterday. I painted a rooster. And this has a little, they changed it. I told Carol, I said they changed the paper. It has a little more wax on it. I guess it was soiling their linen too much if you spilled. And so this is pretty quick paper. When I mean quick, I mean, Chris, I know you love painting on hot press. This is like the hottest of the hot press. This is like painting on wax paper. And so sometimes the ink or the paint will sort of bead up a little bit. And so you might have to go back and do it over. You see what it's doing there? Can you just kind of get a feel for how it's laying on the surface? It's not really penetrating. And so you just have to slow down your style a little bit. And so there it is. And also this ink, depending on what you use, I use a fountain pen here. It'll have it'll bleed differently. So just know that your paper is going to affect your water's going to affect your paint. All that's going to happen. And by the way, that's the stuff that I'm going to be talking about in November when I start a basic, back to the basics. It's going to be called Back to One. It's going to call Rue 857 Back to One. We're going to do it at 8:57. We might paint, I might paint, you might join me on a Thursday morning, because I've got a Monday, I've got a Tuesday class, and I need a break on Wednesday for a meeting that I have, and I may go to a Thursday. So that'll put me Monday, class Tuesday with Patreon folks. That's for Good News Rue, and also my once a month 90-minute one on Patreon. So I got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, skip Wednesday and go to Thursday. Might do a Thursday class, Thursday 8:57. They'll be recorded. It's just for people who want to do the basics. It's for the people who say, I've been watching this show for a long time. I really haven't started. I didn't take good notes. Would you ever have a little grace and go back to a refresher? And that's really what I do too sometimes. I've been talking about that. So let me show you what happens with this paper. So yesterday I'm sitting there and I get up and I say, Carol, who should get this rooster? And she says, that couple right there. So I walked over and I said, hey, the lady said, I saw you doing this. And I said, well, I hope you enjoy it because it's yours. And she goes, what? She says, no, here, hold it so I can take a picture so I'll remember. I said, you'll remember, I'm going to give it to you. And she goes, for me? She didn't really connect. And it was funny. We think she was from Colombia, South America. It was really fun to hear her accent. And she goes, I love art. And somehow you just find the person who loves art and they connected. But I took another one with me. On the menu of this restaurant is this little guy who is just a little, very cartoonish, a little chef. And he's coming out of the kitchen and he's holding the plate up like this. And he has on his chef's hat. And so I painted this little thing, and I did it just with my Kakuno pen very quickly. And it says, hey, I'm not a cocktail, I'm the real bird. And I thought, what happens if I take the dome off of here? And so I want to show you how fast you can just paint something like this. I'm not good at characters. I'm not good at this, but part of my push to other people is when you see something out there, you should just try it. So let me show you what this looks like on a piece of sketch paper. This is 100-pound paper. Here it is right here. And I'm just going to lay this one here. I put on a little music and then just watch. And I'll show you how I'm going to do this very quickly here. Are you going to create tea towels again before holiday time? That's a great question. I'm from Iraq, Basra. Okay, fantastic, Jafar. Thank you for telling me where you are, sir. Glad you have tuned in this morning and hope you're somewhere in Iraq with a paintbrush. I love that. Basra. I'm Iraq, Basra. So the city of Basra is being on the show this morning. Welcome to Roodoodles Live, somewhere in the southeastern part of the United States. Art can connect us. Paint something sweet. I love it. So Chris, this paper is, you get hot press and then you get paper that's just like glass surface, and this has a little bit on it. So you're going to have to wait on your paint a little bit. It's not going to sink in even like it does on hot press, but that's going to be the stuff that I'm going to do on my beginner's class. We're going to start off slow. We're going to talk about simple supplies. In fact, we're going to start it without even you having to have any certain supplies other than just a notepad and a pencil and a pen and maybe one paintbrush. And then we'll talk about brushes. We're going to talk about paint. It's called Back to One. Where does that come from? In the film industry, when you're shooting a film, when you're shooting a movie, here. This is a photograph of Lake James, which is about an hour from me, an hour and 15 minutes from me, actually. I shot this off of the morning boat when we were shooting, you ready for this? Hunt for Red October in 1989. The last scene of Hunt for Red October shot from this lake It's where Alec Baldwin and Sean Connery are supposed to be on the submarine, the conning tower, going up the lake, and it's supposed to be on the west coast of. They shot it out in California, San Diego, and they didn't like it, and they wanted to shoot it somewhere else. So we shot this there. And so sometimes they say, "Ooh, I like those mountain hills there. That it's giving great. That's a great background for the foreground of the submarine that we'll put in here, green screened in. We like this sky." And so they said back to 1, and that means you got to turn everything around and go back to here where you started and shoot again. Bring it all through one more time. Okay, back to 1. So sometimes you go back to the beginning. So in the film industry, that's called back to 1. And I really like that. I still use it today when I'm shooting videos and things with people. I go, man, that was great. Now let's go back to 1. And they'll know what that means. Let's go back. You mean all the way from the top? Yes, from the top. Back to the beginning. Take it from the top. Back to 1. Okay, so that's where that came from. So that's going to be my class, back to 1. Am I going to create tea towels again? I'm not sure. But I'll answer that question right here on this later today. Tea towels. So I have questions. I have tea towels. And here's what this paper feels like. This paper is 100-pound sketch paper. It's made by Yasutoma. It's called Sketchpad 100-pound. There's 30 sheets that they send me. I like this paper, and I'm going to paint this on it right here. So as I looked across my menu yesterday, which is about this big, down in the corner right here was this little figure about this big, about 1.25 inches tall. And it was this little chef with his hat on, carrying this domed, like pheasant under glass type thing. And I just looked at it and I thought, you know what? I think I'll just see if I can sketch that. And I've sketched one other before when I was there. And so I grabbed my pen like this. And let's do it with this pen right here, because people asked me about this pen this week. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is right here. Someone sent me a note and they said, look, I can't get this pen to pick up very much ink. And let me show you how I do that to pick up a little ink. All right. I'm taking, and here's what I'm going to use today. Instead of my Sumi ink, which is this is the ink from Yasutoma, Black Sumi ink. I'm just going to take this Black Magic Higgins ink. It could be, and it's waterproof, which is good. I don't need it to run that much. I'm going to take this and just use it as my little dip container here. So I'm taking out the little dropper, and I'm going to set it over here out of the way. And then I'm going to dip my pen in. And just as a practice, watch this. I'm not going to be concerned about, don't worry about dipping it in too deep, because what's going to happen is the ink's going to roll down, get caught in this little brisk little notch in the pen, and hopefully, if this pen is sharp. And by the way, when you go to store this, don't store it on its point. Store it on its backside, but be careful when you reach in, because you will puncture your finger, and it is a nasty little wound when you stick your finger. I'm speaking from experience. All right. And by the way, this pen cap comes out of here, so you can change this if you want. This pen has a split section. You can clean these pens up every now and then if they get too crudted out. Cruded out, I think, is a word I just made up. But you know what I'm talking about. Too much ink on the surface, a little hot water, a little alcohol, a little soapy water, but make sure you dry them real well. Get rid of the soap. If you look and see this pen, you see it. You can't see it there, but it splits out a little bit. So here we go. I'm just dipping it in, and I dipped it into almost over half, because that's really all the ink I've got in there. And then here, I'll just start drawing with it. Show you this. I'm going to draw this guy's shirt like this. That's a lot of ink. And you'll see Charlie, when he sketches, he's going to come up with a lot of ink like this. Maybe going for another little dip. And then, of course, I got to get his apron tie on here. Let's come down with his apron like this. Let's run this knee out, come back. Let's let this one come out like so. So yeah, I'm dipping it every now and then, just kind of filling it in there like this. I'm going to turn that music down just a little bit here. I think I'm loud enough though. When did cleans your dip pen nibs very well? Lisa Pedesor said something does, but I'm not sure what she's telling me it does. Windex. Oh, Windex does it. Yeah, Windex will do that. Any sort of cleaning agent will be, that's a grand one you can use. So if you're into painting with these nibs, enjoy doing it that way. So look, my point is, this is, I'm not looking, in fact, I was looking at something else and trying to answer questions at the same time. So, but you see where I'm headed with this, right? I mean, he's going to draw the dish out here, put his hand out like this. We're going to do some other little ties around here like this, some ties. And so the point is, you see what I just did with this, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. Here's his neckerchief. You know, he's a chef. He's always got one of those. He's got a little 14 pins in his pocket over here. He's got a little thermometer on his sleeve over here. Hey, go out and look at some chefs sometimes. Maybe he's got an apron pocket here, and there's this. So that's the concept. I'm going to shake this water off in here. So that's how I would paint that if I painted that pen, okay? With that pen. All right, I'm gonna change pages on you here real fast. All right, boom. I'm just going to go grab my Kakuno, which is a more controlled fine pen. This looks fine, but it's going to just plunge a little more water. Go back and look at Charlie Mackessy's where he dips. You'll see where he starts. You're going to have a lot of big glob of ink there. You want to let that dry a little bit, because if you put water to it right away, it's going to create some shadowing or some run that you might not want. You might want it to dry just a little bit. So here's a little smaller version of that. Just come out with an arm like this. Remember how we draw people's, remember how people's limbs are, okay? Humans are cone shaped. Look, everything starts in a cone shape. Look at that. Look at that. That's a human arm right there. Bugs start sort of just the opposite. They sort of go out like this and then come back out like this. That's a bug leg. That's a human leg, the cone. So what do I say when I draw a cone? There's a cone right here. It's a cone shape. Look at that. And then there's the forearm is bigger. And then remember this Popeye? Look at his arms. Okay, so then you got the shoulder. You even have the body as a cone shape. Look at this. Okay, now I did the chef as a cone upside down. Why? Well, because he's tasting too much of his stuff. But if you add the shoulders onto the cone, then you see that I do have a little bit of a cone shaped here coming down. Look at that. See that? Those cones, by the way, and why would you want to ever draw a cone? This is stuff that we'll do in Back to One. If you can draw a circle, if you can draw a square, if you can draw a rectangle, if you can draw a cone shaped, if you can draw a triangle, if you can draw just a straight line or a dot, and you can do hash marks like this, you can just about draw anything else there needs to be in the country. Look at this shape right here. It's all cones and triangles. Look at his head right here. If you were to trace his head, it would be a cone or a triangle. Look at that. Same with this. Same with here. You see it right there? There it is right there. Same with here. Look at this arm. Bigger goes little. Bigger goes smaller. Same with his legs. Look, goes to the knee. Then you have it big come down again. Same here. Boom, boom. Here. Look at this one right here. See that? All those are cone shaped. You see how that works? Even his nose a little bit. You go, come on. I'm serious. Look at that. And then, of course, I can put anything I want to put here on this. I can put one of those ghost crabs on there. And how are they? They're cone shaped. Take a look. Here's one right here. Here's the legs coming down. Here's the claws coming in. Here's the eyes. Fresh sea food. All right, so there's it. And you're going like, well, that doesn't look like a crab. Well, it will when I finish it and do all the claws and I do them the right way. And then I got all the little points down here. And so I'll put the orange in there, and you suddenly have this chef carrying this dinner out. So I'm going to go back to the other page and finish the other one, I promise. But I just wanted you to see that those are some of the things. Now, look, this ink on this paper, the Higgins ink has already dried. And so if I wanted a little shading in here, I'd have to bring in a little bit of black because it's already shaded. But if I wanted to do his face in just some little rose-colored pink, there it is right there. If I want to do his pants in blue, I come in here like this, just grab a little bit. For heaven's sakes, I'm sitting at the art show. There's people standing around and they say, would you just hurry up and paint something? I'll say, sure, I'll do that for you. Maybe his bandana, his kerchief, his neckerchief is a little terry-tarty turquoise. Maybe his clogs are black. You know, his cooking clogs are black. There they are right there. You know, those chefs wear those cooking clogs. And then maybe he's got some French gray on this apron that's a little bit. And then also, what's he been cooking? He's got some food stains. So let's just throw a few food stains on there like this. And suddenly we have the makings of this this chef. And there he is right there. Oh yeah, I was going to say I do the crab and just some orange legs coming down here like this. There's a couple. There's one. There's some claws, and then his body and just a little bit of red and blue, and just some touches in there. And I got this live clam coming out on the platter, which is going to be gray or silver, and you just let it fold in like this. So there you go. How fast is that? And look. It's not. Is it great art? Heck no. Is it illustrative art? You bet. Is it storytelling art at its best? There was this chef who served a ghost crab, and he kept bringing it out to the table, and it kept disappearing. You know, so I make that up for children just on the spot. I didn't think of this stuff beforehand. Draw these shapes. We're going to do that in back to one. So I shifted gears on you, and I went to this painting again from the one that I painted. And so now I'm just going to paint this chef with his apron on. There it is. Bring his knee down like this across this one, this leg on down here. His hands flattened out here. Here's the pan. I'm going to do a little longer nose on this. He's got a big nose and a chin. And then, of course, his hat is coming up like this. And there's the top of it. And there's the chef's hat. Here's his kerchief. Here's his arm coming in behind. And take a look. I just finished this chef with just a few of my little cone shapes. Can you see how easy that is? All right. This is not my style of painting, by the way, but when I'm in a place where I see something and I go, I really do kind of like that. That's kind of fun. And so for me, I just put one of my little roosters right up here, and they just had a little conversation. And so see, I come back to what makes my art identify with me, and I see him carrying this little rooster out. And I thought the comment is, hey, I'm not a cocktail. I'm the whole bird. And so there's my painting that I brought home from the restaurant last night on the tablecloth. Do I do it to make a show? No, I do it because Carol and I are enjoying the rest of our coffee and our conversation. And she knows that I doodle when I listen, and I actually listen better when I've got a pen in my hand and I'm taking notes. And so so we're talking, we're enjoying each other's company, and lo and behold, I wind up with a painting. And then I go, hey, we should give this painting away. Who gets it? And she says, I think that couple over there needs it. And so I don't know if the lady said, but I will tell you this. She said, I'm going to frame it. And I'm going like, well, good for you. Thank you. Now, this brush, this paper is going to dry. By the way, if you're using fountain pens on watercolor paper, it will stay on the surface a little longer. It takes longer to soak into the cotton. So you can wake it up with a wet brush and you'll get a little more of what I would say would be bleed. If it's not, you see how it's this water's breaking it down right here, so I'm getting some of that already. Then this is, like I said, this is sketch paper. The reason I used this chef in blue pants is because I think there was a touch of blue probably in the original. I'm going to put a red kerchief on him this time. There it is right there. Holds out. And while I got this red up here, I'll just touch this in. This sketching paper is 100 pounds. It's fun to use, by the way. Put a little, this time I'll use a little Payne's Gray here for Donna. A little Payne's Gray on the shoes. And by the way, this blue is sinking into the sketching paper some. So if I want it a little bolder, I'll have to go get it here like this. Grab a little white and buff titanium buff. It's got a touch of gray in it. I just want this French hat to have a little bit of gray in it up here, just sort of. And then I want his face to be a little bit, almost a rose-colored peach. Too much, so I'm going to go in and grab a little, and I'm going to grab a little bit of orange and just drop a little orange in his face like that right there. And I think that's too much, but I'm going to go get some of it and bring it out. There it is right there. All right, so how can you not have fun by just painting quick things like this and playing with it and seeing something while you're out? And so There you go. There's a little chef painting right there. And hey, I'm not, this is a great piece of kitchen art. Come on. Not kitchen aid, kitchen art. All right. Could grab a little bit of this pink orange here. Whoa, I just messed that up. I'm reaching over here in my palette, just getting a little pink orange for the arms. There. Have his arms right there like that. And maybe down here. All right. Very French. I want a little more brighter yellow on the beak of that rooster, and I want some of this coming down, and I want a little more blue in the tail. And I think I want a little stripe of red down in this rooster too, just right in here. Why would I do that? I just thought it makes it pop up there just a tad bit more. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. All right. Would like to try that. Well, Elaine, go for it. Okay. Kim Cummings, thanks for being on the show. Kelly Berger. Denise, start with Carrot People, move to what Rue's doing, and then make it yours. Yeah, Carrot People's the way to go. Denise Albright says, I'm petrified at painting people. Denise, let me just tell you, you can paint dogs the way you can paint. Just start painting people and don't worry about them. And so this is the original chef that I painted last night. And the one seriously, the one at the restaurant is this big. It is probably, what is that? I said 1.25 inches originally. I'm going to measure that and see what it is. It's 1 inch and 1/8. And that's about as tall as he is. Maybe from the time you put his hat on and his little pot out there, I'm saying 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches max. That's probably what it was when I saw it. And yeah, just you create your own little piece. Now, this, I could come back in with this pen and dirty this up some. I love the fact that it's just sort of a messy chef. Hey, I'm no cocktail. I'm the whole bird. Okay, so there's my painting. What would I do just to mess that up a little bit? I'd probably grab a little bit of just blue on the outside, grab my pen here and just give it a little bit of splatter just around like this, and maybe just a little bit of orange down here. Why? I don't know. I just thought I would. Maybe a little blue up here around the tail feathers, and then maybe just splash a little bit of just dirty brown around this so it looks like, yeah, there we go. I think that's a fun painting, to tell you the truth. You know what I think I'm going to do to this painting? I think I'm going to frame it, and I think I'm going to take it to the coffee shop. Because they sold 3 of my paintings this week, and I think I'm just going to send this over there and say, hey, somebody that comes in here needs this painting. Doesn't have to be any more detail than that right there. Maybe I'll put a little commentary on there about learning to cook or something. So I'll probably just do that. There we go. All right. So that gives you an idea of what you can do. Am I stealing the chef? I'm stealing the likeness of the chef, pastiche. I'm turning it into my own piece of art. You do that all the time. Everybody in the whole world does that. I'm not trying to paint their logo. I'm trying to paint. In fact, that's not even really Bricktop's logo. It's just a little art design that someone pulled from clip art file that someone did. Someone owns it. It's an unsigned piece. It's different when you take an original and then adapt it to your original. So I'll toy with that and take a look at it, and then I'll decide what I'm going to do with it. All right, let me jump up and see if there are any questions here. Throw a couple of cues in there. Are you going to create details? I just tried to answer that a minute ago, and I don't know. I would love to. It's possible. But I'm not going to say yes. All right, let's see. Windex. Good morning, Glenda Edwards Small. I painted my first person last week. Why are people so scary? Why are people so scary? That is a question that I can't answer right there. But I think it has to do with the original fall of mankind. If you wanted a spiritual answer, I could probably give you one. But why is it so scary to paint people? Woo, who knows? All right. We'll stay on this pen for a minute. And then I think I've used the pen. I painted something else. Here's the two that I did. I'll probably throw this one out on the post somewhere. I think I'm going to frame this one and just put it on the. This would go great at a bar. Except I don't visit bars, so I wouldn't know. Except I'm not opposed to visiting them. I just don't like alcohol. I don't like the taste of it. So, where's my pen? Let me do this pen on a piece of watercolor paper just so you can see what I'm talking about. I didn't want to make a bold comment and not back it up. Same ink, same pen. Let's just do. Boy, you got to be careful when you take the lids off of these because it will sling ink all over the place. Here's that little Roo that I do that's looking back over his shoulder like this. There's some dried up ink in the bottom of this thing. I'll tell you that right there. You can hear that this is so different to paint on. And this is 140 cold press. And so I'm going to show you something that's going to happen here. I'm reaching in, dipping a little more ink in there. And I'm going to just bring this leg down to this rooster like so. I'm going to bring this leg over here like so and here. And then I'm going to just, this is that little rooster that I do where he's looking back over his shoulder a little bit. Got his leg sticking out like so. Even painting on this kind of paper with a dip pen, a fountain pen in, it will create a little bit of frustration for you if you're not used to it. So I'm just telling you right now, you might want to just be careful when you're painting on this kind of paper. I'm going to just use my, watch this. I think you're going to see that it's drying pretty fast though. Made a liar out of me a little bit. Because it's this type of ink dries a whole lot faster than this type of ink, and I'll show you. So that's the other thing. Not only is it your paper, but it's your ink. So if I dip in here and I go in here and just get a little bit of this ink, look what it does when you put it here. And this is Sumi ink. This is Japanese ink. And so what's going to happen with that is it's just going to come roaring out of the tube. And it's going to stay wet for a long time. So make sure that you read the ink bottles before you buy the ink, depending on your style. And you go, how do I know? Well, this is like $3. So, and this is probably like $8. But look at the difference. And you've got to just practice. You've got to just go back to one. And that's the reason that I'm doing a class that's called that. Now I can come in here and get some of this. This is a fun little black and white Roo. I love doing these. And then probably what I'll do is I'll just go in here and just highlight it with a little red, just a touch of red up here, like so. And then I'm just going to go get some of this gamboge over here. You see me just dancing a little, my brush in the end of that, just twisting it a little bit. And then I'm just going to do a touch of this on his beak. Too much, but I'm going to pull it in like so. And then maybe a touch of orange yellow. Let's show you how I'm mixing this. I'm going to put this lid back on, okay? Before my old Irish or a Scottish pub desk, English I should say, has more ink on it than it needs. All right, then let's look at this and touch this with a little bit of this. There's a little too much red coming down here to join that. I'm going to get rid of some of that, come back in, grab some of this black right here, put it back in. And so I have this little cartoonish rooster that would be a great little gift for someone who just wants a fun little whimsical Roo on the edge of their counter saying, hey, you know, here comes fall. What I might do now is take this pen and go in. And by the way, if you use one of these pens, expect to go get some soap soon. What I'm going to do now is just, I'm just going to, I guess I'm going to have to go get some ink. Let's see if all this is dry. Yeah. All right, I'm just going to go get a little bit of ink here on my pen, dip it a little bit, wipe it out, and I'm just going to go in here. It's not going to let me do it because it's too wet. I love that though. Look. And that's another thing I'll try. I've got about another 20 minutes here. I'm going to show you one more thing you can do with this pen, which is kind of fun. Now I'm just letting it just use the water, and I'm pushing the water around. And that's really cool. Okay, this is the kind of playing that I do when I just feel relaxed and when I feel like, hey, I just got a major project done before I go to the next project behind me this morning. It gives me an hour to sit back and do this and just kind of play. And look at that. Now there's a little more dark on this leg than I want, so I'm going to erase it while it's still wet. I'm just going to touch it like this. There we go. And I think what I want to do is push my paper up and run some of this ink back up in there. You see it going there? What I might do here is let it settle down, but I think I'm going to let it settle with this pen underneath it. So I'm leaving my paper at a little bit of an angle so all this doesn't settle in here. And that's the other thing you're going to have to watch for. Watch for undulations in your paper so that the ink will all settle in a low place. Remember, water seeks the lowest level and it runs there and it sits there. So if that's happening in your painting, put something under the piece of paper. You can tell people who haven't been around watercolor when you hand them one of your little paintings and you'll say, oh, here's a little painting I did for you. And they go, oh, wow, look at that. You go like, and then you look at it and they've just blown it all out. And go like, I just handed it to you wet. And they go, oh, it's watercolor. So I say, hold this flat until it dries. I'll get the door for you. Or come back and get it in 15 minutes. But they'll go, wow, would you look at this? And so it happens all the time. So see how this has come back down into the puddle area here? That's okay if you want that to be the puddle area. But in this case, I think I want it to be right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay a little brush under the edge of it right here, move it over there, and let it dry like that. Does that make sense? Okay? You're in charge of how the paper goes, people. All right. Proportions is people challenge for me. Thick necks, fat heads. Sue Peters, just checking in. Hey, Sue. Have you had your eyes checked? That's always an old doctor's joke. No, I kind of like them striped like they are. Okay. Jacqueline Goodrich, thanks for being on the show. Sally Ann Smith, love it that you're here. All right. Any more questions? I'll look and see. All right. Okay, a lot of folks on the show this morning. Thanks for jumping on. Thanks for loving the show. I appreciate it so much. All right, I got a few more minutes here. So what I was going to do is I painted a little crab yesterday, and I was going to show you how fast you can make that happen. I just painted one this morning on that other piece. Let me get a piece of paper here that looks crab worthy. A piece of Kilimanjaro cut down. Let's see. I think I got a piece right here. That's Fabriano. Here we go, right here. There's a little piece right here. I'm still tilting this over because I'm just not happy with where it's going yet. I'm not happy with how it's drying there. Now I just laid it on it. I think that's perfect right there. Ha! Okay, so here's this little crab that I wanted to show you. He's a ghost crab. Chip and I were painting him yesterday. Chip's happens to be in an ankle view of the beach. So here's what I did, a little ghost crab. I think they're laying down here in the floor. Let me grab one and show you. I sold them last night on an auction. Here's the first one I did right there. There he is right there. See? Remember those shapes that I was telling you about drawing this morning? The carrot people. Someone just said carrot people. You know Bob Burgess is known for his carrot people. He really is a master at it. If you want to learn how to do carrot people, just look up Bob Burgess. The dude is brilliant. He does carrot people like this. He will just get some paint on his brush. I'm going to come back to the crab. Don't worry. I got 5 minutes. I'll do this. He gets a wet brush with a lot of color in it, and he just does a spot like this. Just sort of like that. That's his spot. And then he drops this brush down here, and he just pushes it down kind of thick, and he drags it down like this. And he drags it on down, and then he just does a sweep across like this. And so if he puts an arm on the person or if we can do that. And so you suddenly have this person that's wandering out there somewhere, and that looks like a carrot. And so you can do a smaller little crab person, or carrot person is with this one. Here he is right here. This person is asking this person for a handout. This person here says, hey, how come they got more than me? And so there's the other little person. He's turned facing the other direction. He's disappointed. So you suddenly start to make a story with these little people. And Burgess is just a genius at this. In fact, I think Burgess is going to be at the art show or the art classes where I'm teaching in Montreat, Black Mountain, North Carolina, in March. I'm going to be doing a live teaching time in March. Some of you can sign up and be a part of that. I don't have any details. They're coming out later, and I will post as soon as they come out. But I'll be doing a 4-day class in person in Black Mountain, North Carolina, in March. I think it's in maybe the last week of March, somewhere in there, 20-something to the 20-something. I think I'm going to be in Israel right before that. I'll be working on my Israel journal there. So these are Burgess Carrot people, but the point of that being announced this morning was for this right here, that you would see that these people are shaped like what? Yeah, they're shaped like carrots a little bit. See that right there? That's the carrot push that they're shaped like. And so if you want to paint a carrot, you just sort of do like this, and then you go in here. And sometimes I just love using a big old green brush. They're just fun. And so that's the carrot people. That's kind of where it comes from. He just calls them that because he says, if you need a person in your landscape painting, look, is there any doubt that this person is looking here and this person is looking down and away, and this mom is saying, come on, I just gave you 25 cents. What'd you do with that one? I need more bubble gum. All right, I'm going to put this in the trash because kaboom. If I don't, I'll be wearing it. All right, here's a little crab for you right here with a fountain pen, and I'm just going to grab this Kakuno again right here, and first I'm going to do his body a little bit, and so the body of ghost crab just sort of is like this. He has these little, and then there's that same shape, okay. And there, it's right there. And then we got these little eyes up here on his head like this. There's his body right there. And he's got some little marks coming down here. And then, of course, he's going to have some hinged leg parts that come out. And then he's going to have this claw that comes out like this. And it's going to be hinged over there. You see that? Because this piece comes out of the middle of that, just like that. And then this one maybe is going to come here and around one more time, and maybe it comes over here like this. I think I drew that one on the wrong side, but that's okay. I don't know. I don't hang out at the beach very often, but look at the difference remember I just showed you this? That's the person. Sometimes animals come out in just the opposite direction, and then they do that again. Okay, difference between a person's arm and the cone is shaped differently. Look, person, animal, insect, they're like that. That's not true on calves' legs and horses' legs and things like that, but I don't draw horses anyway, so who am I to care? Okay. You can see how long this takes. It's just, and so, what's fun, seriously, when you're sitting at a table, because you got to paint for a 4th grader or a 3rd grader, and here's why. Because when they lose attention, so are the adults. They're just not telling you. They're just being nicer. Okay, so you paint sort of quick, and people love to see that you just kind of had fun with that and that you're enjoying it, and they go, wow, it pulls me in. And so now what I might do here is go in here and just get a little bit of green. Just some, let me get my questions out of the way. Questions are tea towels. I'm not sure. Hadn't made up my mind. And probably, I'm not saying it's a good chance that I will, but we'll see. And here's what stopped me so far, by the way, on the tea towels. I just haven't found a company that prints the size that I want to print. Everybody wants to do a 9x12 because that's how their digital printers work. And I'm going like, I'm not going to do that. I want a tea towel that looks like the dadgum thing was printed, like my first ones that I did years ago. I loved them. And so I can't find a printer that'll do that for me anymore. Okay. So it's kind of frustrating that I'm in that ballpark right there. So you can see how this little crab's come together. I put some green up in there. I put a little brown in there. I put a little purple here on my shadows. If you don't have the sound effects, you can probably purchase those from the sound effects store. I just do those on my own. The point of me painting like this is just to let you know that you should be having fun with your art. And if it's stressing you out, take a break from it. Go read a good book, or read the good book. Write something. Refocus somehow, some way. So what I have is I suddenly, and watch this, that's a little heavy in there. I'm going to get this paper towel. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to punch some of that out. He's a ghost crab, so I'm going to drop a little gray into his life. Here it comes right here. He's going to have a little more gray down here, a little more gray here. Just a little bit of blue in these hinges, just a touch right in here. Just because he's been in the ocean. And so there's the theory of a ghost crab right there in a matter of, what, 3.5 minutes? So if I'm sitting at an art show, or if I'm sitting at an art desk, or if I'm sitting in a restaurant, and I'm able to sit there for just 10 minutes while somebody's eating, and I can turn out a bee, or a couple of crabs, or a small little rooster that, guess what, is still showing a lot of water on. Now I'm going to come in here with this rooster. I'm going to set this over here to dry. That's a good crab, by the way. Even if I did say so myself, I'm going to come in right here. I'm going to take a little bit of red. What? Yep, a little bit of red. And I'm just going to put some beauty marks down in there. And I'm going to come in with a little bit of orange and just pick up a little bit of orange on that feet like that. And then I want one distinctive orange feather right there. Here it is. Why? Just because I could. Maybe I'll come in and just put a couple little marks in that feather. Just break it in a little bit. Another way to do that, the marks in that feather. You see, I am so ADD, it's not even funny. And that's what makes my art fun. I can go from one piece to the other really quickly. And so that makes a fun little thing for me to do. By the way, I'm using a Metropolitan pen today by Pilot. We bought several of these pens to give some men who come to my house once a month for dinner, and with a journal. Had 20 men last month. 20 men are coming this month, and they come over for a little bite of dinner. We cook something, and then they all get a little story, and they talk about life, and they get a pen and a journal, and they get to do something with it. Not necessarily paint, but it's part of that. So I like this rooster. He's pretty simple. I like this crab. This is the one I just painted. This is the two that I'm trying to keep clean because I sold them last night. They went together in an auction. So, and this bee goes somewhere. He has a home. This rooster doesn't have a home. And here, I'm going to show you this painting one more time. Is the painting that I did this morning that I think I'm going to frame and take to the coffee shop. Hey, I'm no cocktail. I'm the whole bird. And I think he needs a little more. What have I got? 2 minutes here. I think he needs a little more rose or orange yellow in his face, just right there. Just a little more tan in the face. Yeah, I think that's good. Same with the orange. The arms. She's easy for me to say, huh? A little more skin color right there. Yeah, I think that's good. Maybe an ankle showing through right there. No caffeine. Never had it. Never will. All right. So November, the first part of November, I'll set the dates by this week. You'll know what the dates are. If you know of anyone who wants to sign up to be a part of a all that's supposed to be arranged today, the price, the times, and all that. If you know of anybody who wants to be a part of a back to one basic watercolor course, let's start at the back to one. Let's start at the beginning and take it all the way through. Paper, brushes, everything. Just how to do some of the things that I did today. That's a good example of what we'll be talking about. May spend the first, in between those weeks, I'm going to ask them for like 3 things to turn out for homework. At least sit down 20 minutes a day. Is it anything different than I've been asking you? No. It's just to get you going and keep you thinking like an artist, okay? I'm still waiting for those aprons. Yeah, me too. I'm doing a Bible study in Galatians, hoping to do some drawings on the book we're using. I think that's a great idea. Carrot people went down the rabbit hole. I get it. Susan Peters said her kids had her all over the Adirondacks in a wheelchair. I love it. Okay. Susan Peters says, I have 5 of the crabs I painted here in the bathroom. That's amazing. Okay. All right. Let's see. Any other things I want to see? Questions? I'm waiting for those aprons. Yeah, me too. Is that the last QQQ there? Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. I still haven't found the company that how I want to print those aprons yet either. And I'm not looking hard right now, but the local printer that we were using that I thought was so perfect is not doing that sort of thing anymore. And so now I have to go outside and I have to just do it's just a little more cost than I really wanted to do at the time. So to me personally, and then I have to pass that cost on to some of you guys. So I'm just holding off. Anyway, the time will come when somebody will help me do that, I'm sure. All right, so there's I'm going to sign this crab. I like him. He turned out well. We'll come up with a title for that and this one too. All right. Hey, thanks much. It's 9:58, and it's been an hour since I started this class. And I took you down a little story road. Paint what you see, learn every day, give some of your art away, sell some of your art. You can do it. If you don't like it, don't sell it. Don't sell stuff you don't like. Don't say, oh, I don't like this, I'm going to sell it. No, 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 no. I like this, but I still think I'm going to pass it on because I don't need any more of my art hanging in my house. I love it when it makes other people smile. That's part of it. And so there's some things that I pass on. And great story as I end today. I got an email from a gentleman who said, hey, these 2 paintings pictured, I wondered if you could paint me something like these, similar to these. Do you do that? He said, I saw them on the wall at the coffee shop in Matthews, North Carolina. And I said, similar to those or those? He sends a note back and says, similar to those or like those. And I said, just drive down to the coffee shop and take those 2 off of the wall and go to the checkout counter. And I get paid, and so does the coffee shop. It helps them. And he goes, well, I live in the Midwest, and I was just visiting, but I am leaving tomorrow. Maybe I can. About an hour later, he says, just got back from driving to the coffee shop, got them off the wall. And the coffee shop sends me a note and says, we sold 3 or 4 of your paintings this week, 2 today. We need to get those. I'm going like, I know you did. And so the fun story is it just happens, and they get moved out from there. When people come to town and they go to this fun coffee shop, and I have a little section of the wall there that paintings disappear from. And in fact, 1 painting has been, or 2 paintings have been stolen from. So that's kind of fun too. Somebody stole my art. And one of them was a piece of Christmas art. When you steal a piece of Christmas art, you got to look at it every Christmas and go, yeah, I stole that. I should probably pay. I think it's funny. Hey, have a blessed day. And I will see you guys later. Take a sip of your tea or coffee right now, whatever you're drinking from your cuppa. Me, I'll gander at my wall over here and send somebody a note, a text, a thought. Got it. Blessings to you. Oh, how do newbies sign up? Jacqueline, there will be a sign up email that goes out on Flowdesk. If you're subscribed to my Flowdesk on go to RoodoodlesLIVE.com and it says register here. There's a little thing where you sign up. You'll get an email that says, here's where you go. Here's what it costs. Here's what it is. Here's all the details. That is going to happen before this week's out. So you'll see a post on my Facebook page. It'll say, class is open for registration. Okay. Thank you so much for asking. Good question.